10-minute jazz lesson, episode 57. Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 57 of the 10-minute jazz lesson podcast. If you're new to our show, my name is Nick Manella. I'm the creator and host, and we're so happy you're here because we're going to give you a free jazz lesson complete with downloadable PDF every single week. You can find the PDFs and lots of other cool stuff by visiting our website at 10minutejazzlesson.com. That's the number 10minutejazzlesson.com. Hey, we've got something really exciting happening in our store this week. We are putting out our 60 Days to Crushing the Blues course. And basically what this is 8 weeks of video lessons with yours truly that take you from the very beginning of playing a blues all the way to being able to play it like your favorite bebop master. This course is the equivalent of taking 8 weeks of private lessons with me for one low price. So if you're looking to really improve your blues playing, get a better handle on the fundamentals and basics over the blues, and then at the end of the course playing a little bit more advanced material and being well on your way to being a master of playing over the blues, go and check that course out today. If you click on the store tab of our website, you will see it. It will be one of the first things in there, and you can check it out and download it. Get yourself 8 weeks of lessons today. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Today we are going to take a Herbie Hancock minor pentatonic line, and we're really going to sort of tear it apart and come up with our own exercise off of it. As I said last week, we're going to be looking at a lot of my favorite artists and kind of, I wouldn't say stealing stuff from them, but that's kind of the jazz tradition, right? We steal stuff from people and we make it our own, and then we practice the stuff and put it into our own playing. So one of the things that we're going to talk about, well, the thing that we're going to talk about in this episode is the minor pentatonic. And this is a really, really important scale. It's used throughout pretty much all periods of jazz history. But really the guys, the Blue Note guys in the 50s and 60s really took these pentatonic scales and they took them to their limit and really made them a part of any improvising musician's bag of tricks. So this is a fairly basic pentatonic pattern, but one of the things about pentatonics is that obviously the word penta means 5, right? So it's a 5-note scale. So if you were to look at a minor 7 chord, the notes that comprise a minor pentatonic scale would be the root, the flat 3, the 4, the 5, the flat 7, and then you're back at 1. So that equates out to a 5-note scale. And one of the tricky parts about playing pentatonics is that when you're playing over 4/4, as you will see in the transcription from today, that they don't necessarily line up the way that we want them to all the time. So we have to come up with creative ways of building patterns off of the pentatonic scale to make it actually line up in 4/4. Obviously, a 5-note scale is not going to line up that well over a measure with 4 beats in it. So Herbie Hancock kind of shows us a great way to use the pentatonic scale, and he comes up with a pattern in his solo that really evens everything out and allows us to see a couple of different ways to use the pentatonic over an even number of beats as opposed to an odd number of beats. So let's start with the actual Herbie Hancock solo, and then we'll go from there and come up with our own exercises that you can work on outside of the solo. So he's using an F-sharp minor pentatonic, and this is over his solo on Tell Me a Bedtime Story. And there's lots of super complicated stuff in this solo. I was checking it out this week, but I found this and I thought that this was one of the most fundamental things that he played in the solo that we can really take and use for our own purposes. So here's the way that Herbie Hancock plays his pentatonic pattern in his solo. And that's example number 1 on your worksheet from this week, so make sure you check that out. So basically what Herbie's doing is he's working his way up the pentatonic scale by playing a repeated note at the beginning of the 4-note pattern. Now this is a great way, as we were talking about, to even out the pentatonic scale and make sure that you can play it over a time signature like 4/4. Now he's using 16th notes, so the rest of the exercises that I provided to you are based on 16th notes, but you could use this in 8th notes. You could do whatever you want with it. You could play it in quarter notes. Whatever you feel like your skill level is at, you can adapt it to play in that fashion. So the first exercise that I've written out in order to get this into our playing is we're going to go back to an F sharp minor 7, and we're going to go back to that F sharp minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to extend what Herbie did out to a full octave. So we're going to start on the root, we're going to repeat the root, go up to the next note in the scale, come back to the root, and then we're going to go up to the minor third, which is the next note in the minor pentatonic scale. We're going to repeat that note, go up to the next note in the pentatonic scale, which is B, and then back to the A, and we're going to work our way up the scale just like that. So our ascending and descending patterns are going to be two different things in this exercise that we're coming up with. Here's what the ascending pattern sounds like, and you'll hear that this really evens out that pentatonic scale and allows us to fit it in the bar of 4/4 very, very nicely. So here's the ascending pattern. Now you can hear that I also took the liberty of ending the pattern exactly the way that Herbie did, and I think that's really important because we want to sort of preserve some of the material from the original solo and use as much of that flavor that Herbie did in our own exercise. So I'm basically just working my way up the pentatonic scale with that repeated note at the beginning of the 4-note pattern to even everything out. So of course, anything that we want to do ascending, we also need to do descending to have that full flexibility in our playing. We don't want to be caught just playing ascending lines, and then when we want to descend, we have no way of doing it. So we need to rewrite the pattern in a descending fashion. We're going to use that same concept where we play the first note of the pattern twice, but we're going to do it now and work our way down the horn. So you'll see 2 F sharps followed by an A, followed by another F sharp, and then we're going to go down. So 2 E's followed by an F sharp, followed by another E, down to the next note, so on and so forth. It's going to be very, very similar to the way up, except we're just flipping it on its head, and now we're coming down the scale. Here's what the descending pattern sounds like. All right, so there is the opposite of the ascending pattern. Now, this really demonstrates a way that you can look at a solo, find a part that really catches your ear, and then turn it into something that you can work on independently of that solo. That's kind of the whole point here, right? So we're taking Herbie's, we're taking the genius of Herbie, and we're sort of flipping it for our own uses so that we can have some of that magic in our solo. So this would be a great pattern for you to work on over any minor 7 chord. You can use this pattern over a minor blues. You can use it over the first half of a 2-5-1. You can even flip this and use it over major chords if you want to use the relative major. Remember, an F sharp minor pentatonic scale is exactly the same as an A major pentatonic scale. So there might be some uses there as well. It's kind of up to you to dig and find that stuff. All right, so that's going to about do it for this week. I hope you enjoyed that Herbie Hancock stuff, and I hope it benefits your playing. So remember, we've got our brand new 60 Days to Crushing the Blues in the store this week. If you're looking to improve your blues playing or build a foundation on which you can kind of build everything else, remember the blues is one of the best things to practice when you're just getting into jazz or if you're looking to improve in a major way. Go and buy our 60 Days to Crushing the Blues course. You can find that in the store section of our website. I also wanted to give a big shout out to the people that have reviewed our Facebook page and given us 5-star reviews. So big shout out to Robin, Lionel, Richard, and Adam. Thank you so much for dropping those 5-star reviews. They really help us to become more visible on the Facebook community. If you want to hop onto our Facebook page and give us a nice little review, that would be awesome. We would really appreciate that. And we will see you guys next week with a brand new lesson. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you soon.